So in the last video, we talked about what the heck ketosis is and how that's changing from one fuel source in our body to another. So today, we're going to actually talk about what is the path to ketosis. What are the things that you can do to get to ketosis, or what are the things that can happen to you that can get you into ketosis? And why it's important to understand these is because some of them are healthy and some of them are definitely not healthy, okay? Now, I'm going to break it down to just 4 of these, just to simplify, okay? Now, you guys who are experts on nutrition and doctors and sports fanatics and so forth, you may have other ideas in your head and you may have seen other things, but we're just going to simplify it down to 4 basic ways to get into ketosis today. And 2 of those are going to be bad, 2 of those are going to be what we're going to be talking about in the whole program. So the first way is simply starvation. Okay, you start starving. You're not eating anything at all. You have no access to food. You're starving. You're not eating. You're not getting your vitamins, your minerals, your protein, your carbs, your fat. Nothing. Okay, so your body will switch over to ketosis, and eventually you will die. Okay, so starvation, bad. Okay, not a good thing. The problem with starvation is that when you get into starvation, eventually you will start eating your protein, you start eating your muscle in order to supplement the sugar that you need, the energy that you need to keep your body running, and you'll be breaking down that muscle so that you have more of the minerals available to keep your blood levels of the minerals that you need to keep your heart functioning and everything else going in your body. So starvation, bad. Okay, we don't want to get into starvation, and prolonged periods without food, prolonged periods with really low calories, that will lead to starvation. Okay, that's why dieting doesn't work, because the minute that you get yourself to that starvation point of 10 days or so, if you've gotten to 10 days of whatever diet it is, 10 days of whatever eating thing, if your calorie intake is not sufficient to sustain your body. And like I said before, I don't like counting calories, but just to transmit the concept, if your intake is not sufficient during that time period, you will switch over to starvation, and you will start to break down muscle, and you will lead your metabolism to crash. That slowed down metabolism means that the minute you start back eating the way you were before, or increase your intake, you are going to store a lot more fat a lot more quickly. And so that difficult time to lose that little bit of weight means that you not only gain it back, but you gain it back with friends. Okay, so starvation, bad. All right, the second way is diabetic ketoacidosis. Okay, so if you're diabetic and you don't control your diabetes, you're not eating healthy, you're not taking your insulin, then you can get into diabetic ketoacidosis, which is a life-threatening emergency that will probably put you either, if not just in the hospital, then possibly even in the intensive care unit, and you could die from this, okay? So diabetic ketoacidosis, bad. Okay, we don't want to get into diabetic ketoacidosis. We don't want to be diabetic to begin with. So we want to stay away from that. So starvation and diabetic ketoacidosis, those are 2 ways to get into ketosis that are horrible. We want to stay away from those. Okay, now that we've gotten those out of the way, all right, just for completeness sake, now we can get to things like the ketogenic diet. All right, so now we talked about getting into ketosis, which means switching over to fat as our primary energy source, and the ketogenic diet is designed to do that. Okay, and there are different ways of doing ketogenic, and you can start all the way from a 2.5 fat to 1 protein to carb, or all the way up to 4 to 1 ratios. So there's different ratios and different names for these things. Okay, but the basic principle is we're using more fat, we're taking in more fat than we are protein and carbs, and that helps to get us into ketosis, okay? So that's one concept. The other is intermittent fasting. So without getting into the starvation, now we're providing ourselves with the vitamins and minerals, we're providing ourselves with water potentially, we're limiting the amount of time that we're spending in that fast, so we could be doing it for periods of the day, or we could do it days of the week, okay, one or the other. And we're going to talk about both of those as we go through this whole series of videos. We're going to talk about intermittent fasting, what are the benefits of it, how does that compare to ketosis, and so forth. So, ketogenic diet, versus intermittent fasting. Two ways to get into ketosis that a lot of health proponents, a lot of scientists have been talking about, have been researching, have been showing evidence of the benefits and also some of the risks of each one. So we're going to talk about some of those benefits and risks as we go on, but overall, those would be considered better ways to get into ketosis. If we're talking about how do you get to ketosis, those would be considered better ways of getting into ketosis than the ones we mentioned at the beginning. Okay, so ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting, those are things that a lot of people are starting to do, a lot of people are starting to talk about. There's a ton of research out there about them. And those are the things that we're going to be talking about. What are the benefits and how can you use it for you? So we'll see you at the next video. Make sure to share this, like it, and check out silenceyourfatgene.com for more videos and to finish out this series, or you can look it up on Facebook. And in our next video, we're going to be talking about what are our energy sources overall. We talked about switching energy sources, but we need to understand a little bit about how much energy we actually have in our body so that we can get rid of ideas like, oh, I better eat because I need to have some more energy, okay? So we'll see you at the next video and hope that helped.